News story tonight from the New York Times, the paper obtaining 10 years of Trump's tax figures from 1985 to 1994, which show that Trump lost over $1 billion over the decade. Now, the Times did not obtain Trump's actual returns, rather printouts from his official IRS tax transcripts, while Trump lawyer Charles Harder dismisses such transcripts as inaccurate, though no details about what specifically. The former director of research, analysis, and statistics at the IRS itself characterized them as extremely reliable. And taken together, they paint a just utterly, extremely damning picture of a man who was pretending to be a successful businessman. There's a lot to get to in the story, but start with this. During that decade, year after year, Mr. Trump appears to have lost more money than nearly any other individual American taxpayer. WNYC reporter Ilya Meritz is a co-host of the Trump Inc. podcast, an expert on Trump's finances, and he joins me now. Good to have you here.
Hey, Chris.
Okay, top line of this story.
It's just astonishing. I mean, this report is from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. 1987 is the year that Donald Trump publishes The Art of the Deal and really establishes his myth as a deal maker, and a guy with an amazing nose for business, a guy who knows how to succeed in business. In fact, he was losing, on average, we learned from this report, $100 million a year. The number is so staggering, I can't fathom how you could lose that much money in a year.
I mean, in 1990 and 1991, he loses more than $250 million each year, were more than double those of the nearest taxpayer in the IRS information for those years, meaning he lost twice as much money as any other person in the United States those years.
It's astonishing. I mean, so you come away from this report with the picture of a guy with a lot of money to burn and a lot of passing interest. So at one point he's into like stock investing. At one point he's buying the Plaza Hotel. He's buying a yacht. He moves from thing to thing to thing. And one thing that
They're all failing.
They're all failing. Well, perhaps because he's not taking the time to really learn one of these businesses.
Right. I mean, what appears here, too, and this is, I think, a key point, right? This is not during, there's a period in the mid-'90s when it's like, oh, he's bankrupt and this is not during that period.
No.
This is like when he's at the sort of peak. Donald Trump is the image of the go-go roaring 80s.
Toast of the town, virile guy, going out with women, having a great time, making a lot of money. Exactly, the 1980s money man. Buying casinos, losing a ton of money running casinos, which is not supposed to be possible.
That's very hard to do.
It is hard to do. For me, what it really underlines is the fact that when you are playing in that tier, when you have that much money to burn and when you're so heavily invested in real estate, your taxes look really different from the rest of us. You and I couldn't probably lose that kind of money and
I don't have it in me.
And still have a roof over our heads. But because of the peculiarities of the tax code, the way that Donald Trump ran his business, he was able to lose money. At times he had to let go of assets, he had to let go of his jet, he had to let go of his yacht. But in the end, he remained a rich man and has been a rich man his entire life.
There's also, I mean, to me, one thing this also builds on is, you know, the extent to which he is just a guy spending daddy's money and daddy's inheritance and leaning on daddy and getting bailed out by daddy over and over and over again. This compared with paired with the last time's investigation, that becomes undeniable. Like, he is all just essentially a charity case for his old man.
Right, and let us not forget that he very much downplayed the role of daddy in The Art of the Deal. I've read The Art of the Deal. It's an enjoyable read, actually, but daddy makes only a small appearance there. When we compare daddy's business, Fred Trump was developing middle-income, low-income housing in Brooklyn and Queens. Excuse me, stayed with that business for decades. Donald Trump comes in, has a pile of cash, goes from thing to thing to thing to thing.
Burning it,
but again, staying in business. In fact, he was able to use those losses on his future tax returns, write those down. So again, it really, let's pause on the fact that Donald Trump's signature legislative achievement is a tax overhaul that favored the real estate industry. I mean, it's one of those sort of makes you think kind of moments. It was written in Congress, but it was signed by this president.
All right, Ilya Meritz, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.